What's poppin', everybody? It's a Saber94. Gonna show you guys my Roaring Moon Turbo deck today. This is a Roaring Moon deck based fully on the new regular Temporal Forces Roaring Moon. It's a great card, 140 HP. Vengeance Fletching is basically one of those Mad Party Night March type of attacks. It's gonna do a lot of damage depending on all of the different cards we got in the discard pile. In this case, cards that are ancient, of the ancient theme, ancient archetype. It starts at base 70 damage, which is a good starting point at least. And then you get 10 for each card you got there. So a little bit different than doing like no damage and having like a 20 timer, a 20 times timer, but should still be pretty strong. It's got a lot more HP than the Night March Map Party Pokemon in that 50 range and 30 HP range. And we can boost it further with the capsule, so it can make up for a decent, perhaps regular rogue deck. I'm not quite sure if it's fully meta, if it's tier 2, but I mean a 200 HP basic Pokemon that can do a lot of damage, that's pretty good, and it's going to keep getting better as the game progresses. So this is fully based on this guy. We're not really trying to favor the Roaring Moon EX, but I do have one copy in here. Perhaps as a late game attacker, like if your opponent is down to one prize and we can get this guy, you know, with powered up with the capsule 290 HP should be pretty good. Or if you just want to kill something really big like a stage 2 EX in one shot, then Frenzied Gouging can still come up. But just one copy. We might even discard him immediately when we see him, just to get that bonus, discard as many ancient Pokemon as we can. But if you can help it, you maybe want to keep him on the bench or just save him and then play him down later. But besides, I mean, this guy is a maybe attacker, and this guy being the main attacker maxed out, everybody else is basically just in the deck to get discarded. I max out the Flutter main, which is basically Mismagius. It's something that, of course, is an ancient Pokemon we want to get rid of so we can get the bonus. But if you open with something and you open with this, it might be able to give your opponent a little mini lock. Their active Pokemon can't use abilities, so it's pretty good. On the other hand, this guy has more HP. It can maybe attempt to deck out your opponent, but we're not really going to do that most of the time. And then I got two of the Brute Bonnet. This is also something else that perhaps can attack besides Roaring Moon, because we got Darkness Energies, of course. But the thing is that when you play this guy, it's almost like you gotta make sure you put energies on him, because he's just gonna get stuck. All the time my opponent just goes for the play where they try and get this dude stuck and deck me out, which is pretty annoying. So, you know, he can be a pretty big liability. If you open with him, he's going to be a liability, just a little wall Pokemon that's not going to do anything. But yeah, these are the ancient Pokemon cards. And then I got the Greninja. Now, in the first game that I showed you guys, I forgot to include this card in, sort of testing the waters, but he's in now, so don't worry about it. We still need to discard Darkness Energies in this deck to make use of Sada and the Dark Patch, and this card just does the job, basically. I mean, I do wonder how things are going to play out when this card eventually rotates. Not that it's going to be anytime soon, but it's going to hurt a lot of decks that have to change. Okay, so for trainers, we run a lot of them. We get the luxury because we don't run any evolution Pokemon, just 13 basics, basically, and nothing else. So we get space for a lot of trainers. We got some standard stuff like the Nest Balls to search out the Roaring Moons. Do the Triple Ultra Ball. This is a discard outlet and another method to get Pokemon, of course. Max out the Earthen Vessel. This is a discard outlet and an ancient card, so we really just are happy to just use this all day. It goes into the discard pile and it just fulfills so many roles. Getting Darkness Energies, discarding Darkness Energies, discarding Pokemon. Obviously, it counts as an ancient card, so you gotta max it out, in my opinion. You also gotta max out the Ancient Booster Capsule. This is gonna boost Salamence and make him a pretty solid, a pretty decent, you know, basic Pokemon tank, 200 HP. That's pretty good. In the beginning of the game, they're gonna have trouble killing it. Even Charizard, if you don't get any prizes, they can't kill it in one shot, so that's nice. And as you have these attached and they're dying along with your Roaring Moons, obviously it's an ancient card, so you get more damage. Preferably, at least the way I see it, you'd rather just attach these and then let them just go to the discard pile naturally when your opponent kills the Salamence. You probably don't want to just dump them immediately and not reap the HP bonus. But I mean, it depends. If your opponent does enough crazy ass damage that they don't matter, then if you're gonna discard them, you're gonna discard them. Alrighty. What else do we got? We got, of course, some standard stuff, the trekking shoes too. Max out, draw power, item based, and discard outlet. Makes sense. And we got triple dark patch. I'm a little bit tight with space to max this out. We don't really need to go overboard. I mean, this guy at the end of the day, he just attacks with 2 energy. So it's not that bad. Between the Sada and the manual attachments, you know, your opponent is not going to be up and running from the beginning. So, you know, we have enough time to attach the energies, but it's a nice card to have still. 3 copies, why not? And I believe that's it. All that remains is the A-Spec. And the A-Spec of choice is, of course, going to be the Awakening Drum. I almost feel like this is like a reference to the damn Gear 5 Luffy, but anyway. So this card, it counts as an ancient card, so that's one of the reasons why I want to run it, besides running a different A-Spec. And number 2, the draw power is just synergizes so well with this deck, trying to beat Turbo. I mean, it's an item card, it's not going to be a supporter, so you can play this, draw a bunch of cards, and then keep going, play a supporter to draw more, or just use this to try and dig out like a boss's orders and use. So it's just too good. I mean, all of the A-Specs are really good. The future one too that grabs a bunch of energies from the discard pile, but I believe this one just synergizes a lot better in this kind of a deck, at least for the ancient archetype. And you'll be able to draw a lot. I mean, if you got a bunch of the Roaring Moons down, sometimes you might have something like this on the bench, or, you know, even the Moon EX. So if you can draw at least 4 cards with this, I think it's pretty good. If you just draw 3, obviously it's still good, it's just an item, but I think between 4 or more, you get the really big value, where it's just really, you're taking advantage of this well. So try and go for that at least. And then everything else is just supporter cards. I don't have any stadiums in this deck. On the one hand, I do want to run a stadium because it's nice to have a counter stadium. On the other hand, there's not really any counter stadium that we can really just utilize well. I guess people would do the Poke Stop thing to dump your cards from your deck and get items, but I don't want to discard random stuff like my main attacker, and then you don't have anybody to attack with. Even, you know, it's gonna boost the damage, but don't want random cards like these getting discarded, or just other stuff that I just don't want discarded, like maybe boss's orders. It would suck, and it's just not really the space to have a counter stadium. I would have to get rid of other stuff that I don't want to get rid of. So that's it. Supporter cards, max out the Sada. This is an ancient card too, so makes perfect sense. Pretty good. Then we got the Professor Research, which is also the Sada bitch. And this is just heavy duty discard outlet. In this deck, we don't care too much, so I'm running 3 of her. At least this I can kind of control, as opposed to the Pokestop Gym, you know. Use this and dump a bunch of things and draw a lot of cards. Makes sense to me. Got Iono, maxed out as well. And what else do we got? Not really much, because we got Sada and all the other item-based draw cards. This kind of acts like a supporter card when you think about it. If you can draw a bunch of cards with this, it's going to act as a supporter card that's not your supporter for the turn. So, it's great. But I mean, that's about it. I mean, when it comes to draw, I suppose Miriam counts as a draw card too, even though it's recovery, but we'll draw 3 cards after we use her, which is pretty good. The only thing you really want to recover with this is Roaring Moons, a couple of them maybe, just in case your gonna run out, at least have an option to have recovery of some kind. And boss's orders to use that right time, win the game. That's it. And the rest of the cards are just 11 darkness energies, enough to have to attach manually, to discard, not really run out. I think it's pretty good, especially if you randomly power up this guy too, or the moon that needs 3. You know, if you go overboard with Greninja to draw cards, sometimes you have to. It's nice to have spares. I think 11 is a solid amount to have. That's not too many, but not too few either. And this is pretty much the deck, guys. I think maybe some people would question some of my choices. Like, does that freaking ancient, scientist dude or researcher dude, whatever he's supposed to be, like the hiker guy, that you reveal the top 6 cards, you grab 2 and then you discard the rest, and it's an ancient card too. It's too slow in my opinion. You only get 2 cards, so it's not really gonna give me that much draw. And once again, you discard random shit. I don't like that. I guess it could work, but honestly, I'd rather just rely on things like Ultra Ball, this, you know, even research to just get a bunch of Pokemon this way. At the end of the day, here's the reality. The reality with this card is you're not going to be able to get one-hit KOs immediately anyway. Pokemon have way too much HP, like the Stage 1 and Stage 2 EXs. So even if you discard, let's say 10 cards pretty quickly, he's doing 170 damage. That's still not enough. So just being able to get into that range where you can 2-shot things, maybe even 3-shot things, depending on how slow your opponent is going, it's good enough. And eventually, as these guys are dying and, you know, turn after turn, you get the opportunity to discard more stuff, then you get into that sweet range where you can just one-shot things and just consistently 2-shot pretty much anything. So this is why I believe you don't really need to rush that much to get like millions of ancient cards in the discard pile. So that's the way I see it, at least. So that ancient supporter hiker dude, I did have a few copies, but in the end, I mean, I took them out for other stuff. There were just things that were missing that I wanted to include. So that's just me. This is my list. But this is the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to post a lot more matches with this deck, of course. So I hope you guys stay tuned. Leave a like to the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. This has been Saber Finder 4, and I'll see you guys next time. What-ay?